singing the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari, Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधमाधवा कुञ्जबिहारी जय राधमाधवा कुञ्जबिहारी Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jai Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jai Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jai Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jai Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadramai. जय बाल गोपाल जय बाल गोपाल जय बाल गोपाल जय बाल गोपाल जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। बोलो श्री श्री राधा गिरिधारी भगवान की जय। बोलो जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरुदेव की जय। So we'll continue from reading from Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita from where we left off yesterday. Chapter number 33, titled A Lot of Ground to be Covered. Okay, I think this is where we were. This remark drew fire from Srila Prabhupada. What kind of glorification of the Gita was this if the speakers did not accept Krishna as he explained in the Gita? The Gita declares Krishna to be the highest truth. Mattaha parataram nanyat. Prabhupada advised the directors of the Gita Bhavan to try to understand the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. The directors did not change their opinion, but they were intelligent enough to see that Prabhupada was a great Pandit and a saint, and they listened respectfully. Nodding, they said they accepted his point of view. After the men left, Prabhupada continued. They are thinking that there is something beyond Krishna, or that it is the spirit within Krishna that we have to surrender to. But they do not know that the within and the without of Krishna are all absolute, eternal, and full of bliss. Prabhupada said he could see that the organizers of the Gita Jayanti Mahotsav had invited him to draw larger crowds, but they would not make him sit again through all the Mayavadi nonsense, he said. From now on, he would go with his disciples, speak, chant, and then leave. The next night, however, despite promises by the Pandal directors, Srila Prabhupada again had to wait until the end of the program before he could speak and hold kirtan. This night, the crowd was larger than before, and they were clearly waiting for Srila Prabhupada and the foreign sadhus. When Prabhupada's turn came at last, he spoke and then asked his disciples to begin kirtan. During the kirtan, one of the members of the Gita Bhavan gestured to the devotees to jump down into the crowd, as they had done on the preceding night. But what had been a spontaneous event the night before could not be artificially staged simply as a crowd pleaser. The man, however, was insistent. He came forward to the edge of the stage, reached up, and began grabbing at the feet of the dancing devotees, trying to pull them into the audience. The devotees became annoyed. Grabbing indiscriminately, the man pulled at one of the women's saris. Srila Prabhupada was also dancing, but when he saw this, he rushed to the edge of the stage, swinging his kartals towards the man's face and shouting, "Stop this!" The man retreated, and Prabhupada and his disciples continued their kirtan. Although little noticed by the crowd, Prabhupada's burst of lion-like ferocity had amazed his disciples. So I'll stop here for today. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita ki jai. Say the invocation prayers. Om Ajnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vishramba Madhava Swaminiti Namne Gurum Gauram Girisheshtham Yo Vishrambhena Sevate Madhavam Tulasi Ramakrishna Kirti Karam Stuve. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripatamaham vande paramananda madhavam Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. So before we continue, we acknowledge Srila Prabhupada for his greatest contributions, his books, without which we wouldn't be able to hear or speak anything today. So all his wonderful books, his Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and many, many more. So thank you to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam. So we'll be reading from Canto 5, Chapter 12, Verse 3. But before that, I would like to also take this opportunity to thank all the devotees for giving me an opportunity to speak today. I am not qualified to speak on such exalted topics as the Srimad Bhagavatam, but because you've given me this opportunity, I take it as an opportunity to purify myself. And I hope I seek your blessings so I can speak something of value to everyone here. For today's class, I have listened to classes by other devotees who have spoken on the same verse. Very eminent ones, very eminent speakers like Srila, His Holiness Sri Giridhar Maharaj, Sri Giriraj Swami, His Holiness Bhakti Vijnana Swami, and His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, as well as many other speakers. They were all wonderful lectures, and I encourage you to listen to them if you get a chance. Today being a very busy day, tomorrow is a big Janmashtami, big birthday celebrations, and all of us have many services. So I'll try and keep it short today. So with that, we'll continue. So, Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, is it gone? तस्माद् भवन्त मम संशयार्थं प्रक्ष्यामि पश्चात् अधुना सुबोधम् अध्यात्मयोगकृतितं तवोक्तम् आख्याहि कौतूहलचेतसो मे तस्माद् भवन्त मम संशयार्थं प्रक्ष्यामि पश्चात् अधुना सुबोधम् अध्यात्मयोगकृतितं तवोक्तम् आख्याहि कौतूहलचेतसो मे तस्माद् भवन्त मम संशयार्थं प्रक्ष्यामि पश्चात् अधुना सुबोधम् अध्यात्मयोगकृतितं तवोक्तम् आख्याहि कौतूहलचेतसो मे. Would anybody like to recite the verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am trying.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Tasmad bhavantam mama samshayartham rakshami pasyadodhuna subodham adhyatmajo grathitam tavoktam akyahi kautuhala chetosho me. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Tasmad bhavantam mama samshayartham prakshami pasyadodhuna subodham adhyatmajo grathitam tavoktam akyahi kautuhala chetosho me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Tashma Bhavantam Mama Samsayatam Prakshami Pashyad Adavna Sabodam Adhyatma Yoga Grahitam Tabaktam Ahayaki Katuhad Hala Chetosomi.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
Mataji, please carry on.
Tasmad bhavantam mama samsayartham prakshayami paschate adhuna subodham adhyatma yoga grahitam tavoktam akhyaihi kautukahala chetaso me. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Should we move on to the synonyms?
Hare
Would
Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Tasmat, therefore, bhavantam to you, momo of me, samshaya artham, the subject matter that is not clear to me, prakshyami, I shall submit, paschat, afterwards, odhuna, now, subodham, so that it can be clearly understood, adhyatma yoga, of mystic instruction of self-realization, grothitam, as composed, tavo, your, uktam, speech, akhyani, please explain again. Kautuhala Chetasha, whose mind is very inquisitive to understand the mystery of such statements, me to me. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Mataji, would anyone like to read the translation?
May I, Mataji, please?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Whatever doubts I have about a particular subject matter, I shall ask you about later. For the time being, these mysterious yoga instructions you have given me for self-realization appear very difficult to understand. Please repeat them in a simple way so that I can understand them. My mind is very inquisitive and I want to understand this clearly. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone for the puppet?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'll try.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, give me a minute, Mataji. I'll just open my.
Is it not visible on the screen? Okay.
It's small for me. Anyway, I'll read it.
Yeah, no problems, Prabhu.
Where is it? Purport. The Vedic literature instructs Tasmad Guram Papadyate Jinasu Shreya Uttamam. An intelligent man must. Sorry. I'm trying to alter the screen. An intelligent man must be very inquisitive to know the transcendental science deeply. Therefore, one must approach a guru, a spiritual master. Although Jat Bharata explained everything to Maharaj Rahuguna, it appears that his intelligence was not perfect enough to understand clearly. He therefore requested a further explanation as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Tat vidhi pranipatene pari prasnena sevaya. The student must approach a spiritual master and surrender unto him fully. Pranipatene. He must also question him in order to understand his instruction. Pareshenene. One should not only surrender to the spiritual master but also render loving service unto him. Sevaya. So, so that the spiritual master will be pleased with the student and explain the transcendental subject matter more clearly. A challenging spirit before the spiritual master should be avoided if one is at all interested in learning the Vedic instruction in depth. Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, just briefly, the story so far for those that are just joining now. We've been hearing for the last several months, we've been hearing about the story of Maharaj Bharat, his 3 lifetimes. So, we know that he was a great king. He came in the lineage of Maharaj Priyavrata, who was a son of Swayambhuva Manu. And his father was Rishabhadev, who was the Lord incarnate himself. And Maharaj Bharat was the eldest son of 100 sons. And he was a great ruler, a great administrator, as well as, very importantly, he was also a great devotee of the Lord. He leaves his kingdom, he retires in a timely manner, and he goes to Pulaha Ashram, which is a place of pilgrimage from the sound. And he's gone there to perfect his life, to perfect the end of his life. While he's there, engaged in his sadhana, one day he sees a deer cub in trouble, a baby deer that's fallen into the river, and he saves this deer cub, saves the life of this deer cub, and as the sole protector and maintainer of this deer cub, he becomes very attached to it. So much so that he gives up his sadhana completely, and he's just completely engrossed in thinking about the deer. And he gives up his life also thinking about the deer. And then, as the laws of karma unfold, he has to take the body of a deer in his next life. But while in the body of the deer, he's fully conscious of all his past life and about his devotional service and his love of the Lord. And so he continues his practice in devotional service to the best as he can in that body. He gives up that body also praying fervently to the Lord. And then he gets the body of a Brahmana. He gets an upgrade to the body of a Brahmana. He's born as Jada Bharata in a very exalted family of Brahmanas. But in this body, he's still conscious of his past lives, and he's very, 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 very convinced and very determined not to make the same mistakes as he did in his previous lives. So he is keeping himself aloof from the general populace. He wants to avoid bad association. So he shows himself as a deaf and dumb and a dull person, so that the society shuns him and does not involve him in anything. When he's in this life, we know there are 2 big major episodes that are discussed in the Bhagavatam of his life as Jarabharata. One episode is that of his meeting with the dacoits. The dacoits kidnap him, and they want to offer him as a human sacrifice to Mother Kali. But Mother Kali, who recognizes his greatness, that he's a transcendental devotee of the Lord, she comes and saves him at the last minute, and she kills off the dacoits. The other major episode in his life that we know from Srimad Bhagavatam is his meeting with King Rahugana. That is where we are at the moment. This meeting with King Rahugana is a turning point in the story. So this is the first time that Jadabharata exposes himself as the transcendentalist that he is in this lifetime. And there are many reasons why. We've seen that it was an ideal situation. Jadabharata himself was fully saturated in love of God, and he was just overflowing with those feelings, and therefore it was the right moment for him to start preaching. And King Rahugana was the perfect recipient because he was ready to hear. We know that he was on his way to Kapilashram for spiritual purposes, to realize to get some spiritual answers. So therefore, he was also fully matured and ready to receive, to be the recipient of Jadabharat's mercy. Almost 4 to 5 chapters of this Canto 5 are dedicated entirely to this conversation between King Rahugana and Jadabharata. So we know how important it is. Nearly 20% of this whole canto is dedicated just to this conversation. So it is very, 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 very significant, and lots of learnings that we can get from these chapters. Now, we see already before this verse, we see that King Rahugana has chastised Jarabharata for not, first of all, he forcibly engaged Jarabharata to carry his palanquin. And then Jarabharata, when he was, according to the king, not doing his duty properly, the king chastised him and insulted him. And then Jarabharata spontaneously starts speaking spiritual knowledge. But the king is not able to understand. So he's asked him once to explain what he's saying. And Jarabharata has gone through a full explanation of Sankhya philosophy to the king. This part, the beginning of this chapter, King Rahugana again submits to Jarabharata that he has not understood, and can he please, in this verse he says, can you please explain it in a simple manner? So we will just see some points from this particular verse. So from Bhagavad Gita, we know that Lord Krishna has given us three main paths for self-realization or for perfection. The three paths are, we all know, the Karma Yoga path, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So in the Karma Yoga path, we begin with, a lay person begins with doing karma, and then he progresses to doing karma kandi activities, like regulated activities from the scriptures. Then he moves on to sakama karma, and then finally nishkama karma, where he is acting without any desire for the results. Even then, he's still attached to his duty. He's still attached to the activity that he's doing. And the jnana path, this one begins with knowledge and renunciation. So the whole process is that of giving up or of renouncing. And finally, we come to the process of Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga begins and ends with surrender. So it begins with humility and ends with humility. Even the karma and the jnana paths, even for them to actually fructify or to actually gain success, they have to culminate in bhakti or the process of surrender. So Bhakti Yoga is actually the easiest, the most direct way of approaching the Supreme Lord. Now, in this verse also, there's a reference to Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, verse 34. We'll just briefly look at it. Tad vidhi pranipatena prashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So in this verse, we see the main words are pranipatena, pariprashnena, and sevaya. Pranipatena is referring to paying obeisances to the spiritual master, to the speaker, basically submitting one's whole body and all the abilities of the body in the service of the speaker. Pariprashnena refers to humility of speech, where you are admitting or acknowledging that you don't know and that you trust the speaker to remove your doubts. And finally, sevaya is humble service, menial service to the spiritual master or to the exalted speaker of spiritual knowledge. So this verse also in the purport, we see Srila Prabhupada refers to this verse from Canto 11, chapter 3, verse 21, where it says, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. So here we see, so far we have seen how great is Jarabharata, what a great transcendentalist he was. We have already seen that. But in this verse and the series of verses that we've seen before this, we see that King Rahugana was also very great. So you see the greatness of King Rahugana, because we see this concept, the Sankhya concept of not being the body but being the soul. It is not a very easy concept to understand. It's quite difficult. It may be quite easy to speak about it when you're in a comfortable position, when you're well fed, when you're comfortable, you're not ill, good health, good surroundings. Then you can speak very casually that, yeah, we are not the body, we are the soul. But when we are in trouble, when we are ill, when there's pains and aches in the body, when we are not well fed, maybe we are hungry or thirsty, at that time, to tell someone that you are not the body, you're the soul, it's very, very difficult for anyone to understand or accept. So Maharaj Raghunatha just admitting the fact that he doesn't understand the Sankhya concept, he doesn't understand this philosophy of not being the body but being the soul, that itself is great. And I was listening to one of the classes by Maharaj, by His Holiness Bhakti Vijnana Swami. He was saying in many cases we are actually more attached to our ideas than even to this body. So we are so fixed on our ideas, and that's I was reflecting on it, and that's also true, isn't it? Because when at the end of each life we are giving up this body, this gross body, but the subtle body goes with us, because the false ego, the attachment to this subtle body is so much more greater. We are so attached to our mind and to our intelligence that it comes with us life after life after life. So this attachment also has to be given up. And again, it's great of Maharaj Rahugana to submit himself so humbly at the feet of Jadabharata, ready to learn from him. And that too, not the other thing is that he wasn't doing it, it wasn't like a private situation, just him and Jadabharata. It was in a public place. They were all his subordinates, all the palanquin carriers, probably his ministers, and all must have been there. And so in front of them, to admit his lack of knowledge and falling at the feet of Jadabharata was a great lesson in humility. Now we see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, chapter 13, verses 8 to 12, Arjuna has asked him, what is knowledge? And Krishna is explaining to him what is knowledge. So he begins it with amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shantim, arjavam. That's amanitvam, which is humility, and adambhitvam, which is pridelessness. So the beginning of knowledge, or the beginning of gaining any knowledge, is this quality of humility or pridelessness. That's what makes us ready to be a ready recipient of this knowledge. Now, what are the symptoms of this humility? There are some symptoms that we can see, and we can also see it in this case of Maharaj Rahugana. One is that you're ready to serve. You're willing to put yourself in a position of, as a servant, as dasanudas, being willing to do any service that the speaker wants. The second one is that of gratitude, being very grateful in all situations for whatever one gets or one doesn't get, seeing always the mercy of the Lord and of the devotees in whatever opportunities are given to us. So this is again a quality of humility. The third one is inquiring with an open mind. Again, we see Maharaj Rahugana here. He's so grateful to Jadabharata, and he wants to learn from him more and more. And finally, the last one, which is also the most important, is once you've inquired and you've been given instructions, then to follow on that advice. And this again is seen when one sees a transformation. So when we transform our lives, our lifestyle, and our attitudes and behaviors, that shows that we are actually humble, that we are actually humbly following the advice that's been given to us. So now this quality of humility and this action or this practice of inquiring and of clearing doubts, we see this in all scriptures. It is very, very significant. We see it everywhere, especially in all the Puranas and the Itihasas, in the Vedic literature. We see that this is very, very, very important, and almost all of these scriptures are conversations, are all questions and answers. In the Mahabharata, we see that Janmejaya, the son of Parikshit, he's very angry, and he's doing this great sacrifice to kill all the snakes because he's angry with Takshaka for killing his father. We see in this case that Janmejaya is inquiring from Vaishampayana. Vaishampayana is a disciple of Vedavyas who knows the whole Mahabharata, and he's willing to happily give him that knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam, why to ask? It's full of these examples of questions and answers. The whole of the Bhagavatam is just that. So many questions and answers. It begins with Parikshit Maharaj inquiring from Shukadev Goswami. Then we see Suta Goswami, again, the sages of Naimisharanya inquiring from Suta Goswami. We see Vidura inquiring from Maitreya Muni. And of course, we see Bhagavad Gita, which is fully an inquiry between Arjuna inquiring from Lord Shri Krishna. So we see in Bhagavad Gita especially How many questions and answers? Chapter after chapter, most of the chapters begin with questions from Arjuna, and Krishna patiently answers them. Sometimes the questions also seem repetitive, like chapter 3 and chapter 5. Arjuna seems to be asking the same question. You told me about renunciation and action. Which of these is superior? And each time Krishna answers him patiently, and each time he takes him to a higher level of understanding. So much so that at the end of Bhagavad Gita, towards the conclusion, this verse I thought is very interesting. We see Krishna says, O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? It's as if Krishna is saying, I have told you everything there is to say, and have you heard everything? Is your ignorance and illusion dispelled? If not, it is as if Krishna is willing to repeat the whole thing again. So the speaker is also enlivened when the listener is inquiring. We see again in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this was a very good example, and I really like these verses. It's the meeting of Sanatana Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll just read the translations of these verses. How Sanatana Goswami approaches Mahaprabhu. He's putting a straw in his mouth and bowing down. Sanatana Goswami clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and humbly spoke as follows. Sanatana Goswami said, I was born in a low family and my associates are all low-class men. I myself am fallen and am the lowest of men. Indeed, I have passed my whole life fallen in the well of sinful materialism. Very much like Rahugana asking Jadabharata here. I do not know what is beneficial for me or what is detrimental. Nonetheless, in ordinary dealings, people consider me a learned scholar, and I am also thinking of myself as such. Out of your causeless mercy, you have delivered me from the materialistic path. Now, by the same causeless mercy, please tell me what my duty is. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? If I do not know this, how can I be benefited? Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and the process for obtaining it. Being merciful upon me, please explain all these truths. And what does Mahaprabhu reply? He says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Lord Krishna has bestowed his full mercy upon you so that all these things are known to you. For you, the threefold miseries certainly do not exist. Since you possess Lord Krishna's potency, you certainly know these things. However, it is the nature of a sadhu to inquire. Although he knows these things, the sadhu inquires for the sake of strictness. Yeah. In this verse also we see the phrase Kautuhala Chetasa. So King Rahugana is telling Jadabharata that he's very eager to hear. He's very eager to know. He's very inquisitive, and he would like to know. So this is the thing. So basically, if we have no questions, it means we have no appetite. If we are not inquiring, if you're not actively listening, then it means we have no appetite. It's like for a feast kept in front of a person who's not hungry. It's actually a waste because the person is not benefiting from that feast. Similarly, if we don't have if we are not inquiring, then it means we are not going to benefit from the knowledge that's being provided to us. Our Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj himself used to tell us this. He used to say, if you have no question, then we have no relationship. Only when you have a question, then we have a relationship. And it encourages the speaker. So even the Lord himself, the Supreme Lord, when he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see in his interactions with Ramananda Rai, he says, he's inquiring from him. And when Ramananda Rai replies each time, what is the goal of life? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, this is external. Please say something more. Please say something more. And thus encouraged, higher and higher truths are revealed, and the speaker and the listener both of them benefit. So knowing that this is the significance of inquiring and of being active participants in any forum where this knowledge is being given, then the question arises: many a time we are not active listeners. So what prevents us from inquiring? There were some that I could think of, and I'm sure there must be many others, but some of them that I thought of is shyness. So this is actually maybe a type of humility where you feel, why do you want to disturb the speaker? The speaker is so exalted. You don't want to take their time. But as we have seen, the speakers are actually encouraged when there are questions. I remember when I was in college also, I had a very nice professor of economics. She was an excellent professor, but the class we were in, the students were indifferent. And it resulted in her just, she'll just come give a class and go. Sometimes if a question is asked, you can see the sparkle in her eyes. She's so happy to share her knowledge. Similarly, the speaker is very encouraged when somebody actually asks. So we're not actually taking the speaker's time or disturbing them. It is actually encouraging them. Then, of course, there is pride, which is not very good at all. When we are proud, it's the exact opposite of humility. We cannot learn. We cannot learn anything new. We may feel that, oh, the speaker, what can I learn from the speaker? I already know. Then that won't help us to learn anything. And then fear. Fear is a big thing. So we can have fear of different things. We may have fear of chastisement. Maybe the speaker is going to scold me for asking a silly question. Or we may have fear of offending the speaker, that, if I say something, maybe he will get offended. Sometimes we might have a fear. Sometimes there's a fear of change. We don't want to change. If we ask a question and then we are given an answer and some instructions, then maybe I have to change my lifestyle. Maybe I have to change my ways of acting, of behaving. I may have to change my attitudes. But as we've seen, we are so attached to our ideas, to our ways of our habits and our thoughts, that we are very, very scared of change. We're very scared to have to change our ways. Another big one is laziness. There's a story of this famous story most of us know. We've heard of it. We must have heard of it sometime. The four persons named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. So we know how, we pass the buck. That's a very interesting one. It says, everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. So we are thinking somebody else will ask the question. Somebody else will do the inquiry. I can just sit back and relax. I don't have to be active. So that's not it's not going to help us. And the biggest thing I find is that in this Kali Yuga, we have a lack of time. We've got assigned 2 hours for japa, 1 hour for class. After that, we have to log into work. We've got other things to do. Unfortunately, if I ask a question at the 59th minute, it might go over time, and then I may not be able to keep up my other appointments. So this is a big one as well. Somehow we have to see what it is that's holding us back from inquiring, because we are the losers. So we have to try and find our way around this. The last point in this verse was the method of inquiry. If you see here in the translation, we will see what Maharaj Rahugana is saying. Whatever doubts I have about a particular subject matter, I shall ask you about later. For the time being, these yoga instructions you have given me are very difficult to understand. Please repeat them in a simple way. So he is saying, Samshaya Artham Prakshyami Paschat. I will ask you later. I have questions in my mind, but I will ask you later. First, you explain to me, because it's what you've said is not very clear. So this is a very important thing, and that is something we always follow in all our classes. We always car park our doubts, our questions. We don't just, we may have questions when we enter an assembly or a class, but we hold it until we can hear what the speaker has to say. We listen attentively first with an open mind, with the intention of understanding the speaker. And many a time, just listening attentively can clear up many of the questions or doubts we have. But if there are still any doubts, then certainly we can ask after we have heard the speaker attentively. So Maharaj, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami, gives an example, a story of Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha, the enlightened one, was sitting, and a man approaches him with questions. He says, I want to ask you some questions. You are the Buddha, the enlightened one. You have all the answers. So please answer these questions. So Buddha looks at him, and then he refuses to answer. He says, I will not answer your questions. And the man inquires, why? Why won't you answer my questions? So Buddha replies, he says that there are 3 kinds of listeners who will not benefit from any answers. The first kind of listener is like an upturned pot. So the pot is turned upside down. So anything you put on the pot, anything you throw at the pot or pour on the pot, it is just going to bounce off or slide away. It's not going to enter the pot at all. That is one kind of listener that has completely shut out any inputs. The second kind of listener is one who he's likened to a hole with a pot with a hole at the bottom. So anything you pour in the pot leaks out immediately from the other side. So similarly, this kind of a listener, anything you speak enters from one ear and exits from the other ear. There's no transformation happening at all. And the third kind of listener is neither an upturned pot, so nothing's bouncing off, and neither is he a pot with a hole, but he's likened to a pot which is already full. So when we are already full with, we've already filled ourselves with a lot of information and knowledge, then this kind of a pot or this kind of listener cannot accept anything new. And so he told the man, you're this third kind of pot, you're like this, so I cannot tell you anything. So a speaker is also, he can only share as much as we are open to listening and we are open to learning, and our pot is not too full. Maharaj says that a lot of time devotees are like that. They already know all the important shlokas. They already know everything there is to know. They've done all the bhakti shastris and everything, and they're not open to hearing. So that is something we need to guard against. And another example His Holiness Giriraj Swami gives is that of Srila Prabhupada at a Delhi Pandal program in the 70s. So the disciples had organized a huge Pandal program, and there were 20,000 plus in the audience. And one man in the audience was, being very aggressive and challenging Prabhupada from the audience. So Srila Prabhupada called him up on stage and gave him an asan and made him sit and asked him. So this man immediately turned to Prabhupada and said, when was the Bhagavad Gita spoken? And Prabhupada replied, 5,000 years back. So man immediately challenged him. He said, no, it was not spoken 5,000 years back. So and so authority says that it was spoken such and such time. So Srila Prabhupada just gently said, oh, I don't accept the authority of that person. And this man got more and more agitated and throwing more and more questions at Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, I will not answer your questions. You first answer my one question. What is the method to study Bhagavad Gita? So the man, he said, I won't answer you. You first answer my questions. So finally, he made so much of a disturbance that the devotees had to bring him down from the stage. Then Srila Prabhupada continued. He said, the method of studying Bhagavad Gita is 4.34, that is tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So unless we are humble, unless we are willing to serve, and unless we are inquiring with an open mind, this knowledge will not penetrate. And finally, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he said that, it's all very good. We may learn and listen and know something at a point of time, but we need reinforcement every day. Like Maharaj Rahugana, we need repeated questions and answers, maybe on the same topic again and again and again. Maybe again, we've heard so many times about the mind, about personalism and impersonalism. We know so many things, but we need reinforcement every day because Maya is very strong and we are relatively very weak. So we need to listen repeatedly. And for that, we're very, very grateful to have this class, that we have Srimad Bhagavatam every day, so that we have this reinforcement every day. So that I'd like to end. I'll just summarize quickly. So in this class, we've just seen the greatness of Maharaj Rahugana. We already know the greatness of Jadabharata, but here we see the greatness of Maharaj Rahugana, his greatest quality being his humility and his inquiring mind and his eagerness to learn, eagerness to hear. We've seen the significance of inquiring and from various scriptures, and also how it encourages the speaker when the listener is active and wants to hear. And we also here see there are some things that prevent us from inquiring, but we've got to reflect and see that actually we don't benefit when we stop this process of inquiring. And we've seen the method of inquiry, which is parking the doubts for now, but listening actively and with an open mind, and that we need reinforcement every day. So with that, I'd like to end today's class. If anybody has anything to share, any comments, any corrections, any questions, feel free. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavot Pranam.
Dandavot
Thank you very
Pranam.
much for the very nice class, and particularly the process how to inquire and what should be the attitude of a person who is trying to advance in devotional service. and he has to approach, as you quoted the verse, 434 of Bhagavad Gita, telling how to approach, and Bhagavad Gita is written, and we have to ask with humility, and we have to surrender to the person, to whom, particularly to our spiritual master, and we have to listen what he says. We have first, ultimately it comes out that we must be eager to learn, and we have to accept with humility what has been told to us. Often we see that we hear a lot of things, but we do not accept it in our personal life. So that is the greatest barrier in my realization, that when we hear something, we do not try to put it in practice. And that the reason for that is the false ego, and we think that we know a lot of things, but ultimately, if that is the attitude, then we cannot learn. And whenever we learn from anybody, doesn't matter who is that person, if it is good for me, I should immediately accept it. And that is the sign of humility one should have. And that is the, I think, only condition for advancing in devotional service. Unless we have humility, as our Guru Maharaj, Subhakshan Maharaj often says, humility is the quality of a Vaishnava. And he should not have any duplicity in his external action and his internal activity. Whatever he displays outside, that is in his mind. And when he is humble and in his mind, it is displayed in his external behavior as well. So that is the way of achieving success in devotional life. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told in the Shikshashtam also, Trinada Vishunichana. That means we have to be humble, and not humble by showing humility, but becoming humble in the real sense of the term. And thank you very much for explaining other points as well. So that is my great realization. Thank you for your class again. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for your realizations. In the chat, there are two comments here. One is being on the bodily platform, thinking, what will they think of me? Correct. Many a time we think, what will people think of me if I inquire, if I ask a question? We are afraid of people's opinion of us, that they might lose respect for us if we say something which, may or may not be so intelligent. So yeah, that's another thing that holds us back from inquiring. And Urmila Mataji has asked how to deal with people when they say or show something unpleasant for the Lord. So there are many things in the scriptures we see that if somebody is showing disrespect for a Vaishnava or to the Lord, then some extreme things are said, like pulling out their tongue and things like that, or killing yourself or killing. So those things are beyond us. I would say at the least if we can say something positive to help them change their minds, fine. Otherwise, if I would normally move away if I think I can't convince them. This is my approach, but if anybody else has any other ways to share how to deal with somebody who says something unpleasant about the Lord, anybody else wants to share, please feel free.
Thank you, Dhanapram.
Dhanapram Prabhu.
Yes, on this is difficult situations, especially when you are preaching. Some people pose very challenging questions. So you got to know the motive just by the speaker's attitude. You can know whether he is trying to put forward his own point of view, or he just trying to challenge, or he's just being innocent and really inquisitive to know what is the situation. So just by the question and the attitude of the speaker, we can tell if it's very challenging, and we can give some simple explanation. But if he's trying to challenge and put forward his own point of view, then we just thank you very much and we should walk away. But if an innocent person, then we can give a bit of more elaborate answer to convince him from the scripture. So just, we don't give our own opinion, we can say, oh, this is what our scriptures say. I think one of the times, one of the speakers was challenged by a Christian person. He said, oh, do you respect Jesus Christ? And immediately the devotee knew where the Srila Prabhupada said that Jesus Christ was spiritual master. And the person became so convinced, oh, this is genuine. So it depends on the situation. We have to be a good judge. What's the people are asking, how we convince them. So, thank you, Bhagavan.
Nice answer, Prabhu. Yeah, correct. You have to be discriminating. Depends on who's asking and what's the motive for asking. And yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. That was very enlightening.
Yeah. Also, some just indication of this class. Such a nice analysis of the whole class, especially the about people why they are reluctant to ask questions. It's very important. You mentioned a very important point that sometimes we are, as your Guru Maharaj said, if you don't ask question, then there's no relationship. Because in this 4.13, it says, Pranipad and Sevya, you have to approach a spiritual master, render some service, inquire submissively. And because the spiritual master has seen the truth, he can give it to you. So very important point. But this this type of conversation is not is absent in many other scriptures. Most of the scriptures they just give like a class, do this, don't do this, do this. But here in Vedic scriptures, it's always based on question and answers. So as you mentioned, Arjun Raj asked so many questions. Some of the answers to the question you maybe already knew, but it's just for the general public. So very important to appreciate. And also like your point that one who is asking question should be very humble, actually very humble. And another important point about asking question is somebody who does sincere service. A lot of this question may be answered indirectly with a Paramatma. So both the service and inquiry goes together. If there's no service, it's very hard to get the realization. We become very lazy asking question. Some of the thing doubt doesn't arise, we just take it as it is. But somebody doing very nice service, then the service complements inquiry and also complements or chantings. So each complements each other.
That's a wonderful point, Prabhu. Yeah, the service actually helps us understand. And sometimes questions are answered from Paramatma within. I've myself experienced. Yes, correct. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very nice point.
Yeah, this episode in with the conversation between Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and all the scholars who came to ask Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj about some very intricate question about the scriptures. And Maharaj said, okay, I'll answer your question, but first, my disciple is cleaning his paraphernalia for DT paraphernalia. Please go and help him. So he was a big scholar, but he was humble enough to go and help devotee to clean the paraphernalia. So when he came back after this seva, Maharaj asked us, what were your questions? And he said, no, what is the realization I had that when I was cleaning the paraphernalia, all these doubts within me got it cleared automatically. So Maharaj said, this is the crux. If you do some sincere seva, then automatically a lot of doubts is answered by the Paramatma. So thank you for giving
support. That's very nice. Yeah, nice take.
Thank you for giving so much such a good analysis of verse. This is one of my favorite verses. So it was nice to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
So this time I didn't forget to record your class. Last time I missed the recording. So this time I was very careful. I shouldn't miss such a wonderful class. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If you have no other questions or comments, can we end today's class?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anyway. So Maraji will end the class. So thank you very much. Vancha kalpadruvescha.
Nandakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
All those devotees, Hare Krishna.
Tulasi Bhagavatam, all devotees, all
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you.
Mataji.